for bringing something that's utterly false, illegal or wrong to public attention, it is only and only the media. And today, therefore, we are doing a media trial in this specific case, ladies and gentlemen, of Twisha Sharma, the 33-year-old daughter-in-law of an ex-judge in a case where the ex-judge and the ex-judge's advocate's son appear to be more than involved. Ladies and gentlemen, 15 questions tonight. And if they think it's a media trial, so be it. So be it. Why did the ex-judge in the case of Twisha Sharma, neither she nor her son call a police or an ambulance? What took them 57 minutes to bring the body down? Where are the 3 men who are seen in the video dragging Twisha's body, destroying evidence? What was the police doing? Did they question the house staff? Did they question the judge? Was Twisha carrying headphones in her bag, in her hand, or a rope? Where is it now? Where is that so-called belt that cops claim was used by her to commit suicide? Why was it hidden? The mother-in-law, the ex-judge, walks up calmly while the body is being dragged down and evidence is being destroyed before the judge's eyes. Is that normal? Why don't the judges raise a hue and cry about it? Why don't the appellate courts take up this case suo motu? So people don't start believing that when an ex-judge is concerned, the victim will never get justice. Ladies and gentlemen, what was the ex-judge carrying in her hand when she went down? Where is all the CCTV footage? Did the police collect it? Why did the ex-judge's son Samarth Singh escape after bringing the body of his wife to AIIMS? Is it true that the ex-judge's son's medical examination was not conducted? The police station is right behind the ex-judge's Giribala's house. Why was no call made? Why did it take 5 days to file an FIR in the case? Who stalled it? Why was the victim's family attacked in court if there's nothing to hide? And did a very senior police officer go to AIIMS that night to try and fudge the post-mortem report? Ladies and gentlemen, I'm asking these questions. Now I ask you, am I right or wrong in asking these questions? And if I don't, who will? Will the government of Madhya Pradesh raise these questions? The chief
चमकी चाट से क्या बना है?
आलू चाट या फ्रूट चाट,
स्वाद बनाए चमकी चाट।
क्या बात है? स्वादिष्ट पकोड़े और बरसान, अरे चमकी चाट है इसकी जान।
असली स्वाद सिर्फ चमकी चाट।
केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ रे, दिल झूमे देखो मतवारा हुआ रे। केसरिया से मन जोगी
हर पल मनाओ केसरी त्योहार। विमल, बोलो जुबान केसरी।
थोड़े में ज्यादा स्वाद, ये तो है इसकी खास बात। वाओ मामा, क्या स्वाद है? अरे मेरे राजा,
राजा आरती और मसाला,
प्यास बुझाए ठंडक लाए, सबको भाई जीरा से MDH का जलजीरा जीरा से।
जीरा सिर्फ असली रिफ्रेशिंग, असली स्वाद, असली मजा।
MDH।
I want to start with some very disturbing pictures that have come in of a so-called right-wing leader. His name is Sushil Prajapati. He's accused of rape. After being in jail for 9 months, he gets bail, which means he's still an accused. He's an accused in a rape case. And the case goes back to 2025 when he took an LLB student to one place on the pretext of introducing her to a senior advocate. He drugged her drink and then he sexually assaulted her. He is still under trial for rape. He has not been released. But when he comes out, this rape accused, garlands are put on him as if he's some kind of a hero, as if he's achieved something great. Is a rapist to be celebrated, ladies and gentlemen? I ask you that question. And more than anyone else, I ask the right wing of this country. Very often I come on television and I say, yes, on several issues, I'm happy to be called a right-winger. But ladies and gentlemen, let me put it clearly. You cannot let a person like this man, this Sushil Prajapati, a leader of the Hindu Yuva Vahini, a local thug, a man accused of rape, you cannot celebrate his act of rape or celebrate the fact that the rapist is out on bail. If that is the message we want to send to our society, and if all the BJP leaders want to be quiet about it, I want to ask them, why are they quiet about this? Why are they quiet? In the silence of the BJP leaders, is there a tacit support to this person? Is there a feeling that anyone who wears or puts a, proclaims that he is from a so-called Hindu organization, that he will be allowed to get away with absolutely everything, including an act of rape? Is there a feeling that this man, do right-wingers feel, this man, this accused rapist is one of our own? So hence, regardless of what happens, one of our own should never be accused. It's like all those people, those radical Islamists who say that as long as the act of murder or crime of terrorism is carried out by a Muslim, it must be defended. This very thought, ladies and gentlemen, is completely unacceptable. And we need to make the point more strongly because it's not the first time this has happened. This happened in the case of Bilkis Bano. When in Gujarat, the rapists of Bilkis Bano came out, they were greeted with tikas and sweets. And it was happening openly. This was an act of defiance. A manner of saying, so what? It is a Hindu who carried out the act of rape, and hence we will celebrate him, we will forgive the person. Ladies and gentlemen, we are nobody to forgive, and the last thing we should do is celebrate rapists. This was a shameful moment then, this is a shameful moment now. Sengar was another shameful moment when some people said, oh, Sengar is from the BJP, and hence he can be seen smiling after carrying out the act of rape, and people would celebrate him and say, no, our leader can do no wrong. That was another shameful moment for the right wing. And ladies and gentlemen, Jayant Sinha, remember, son of Yashwant Sinha, stood there, ladies and gentlemen, and garlanded people accused of lynching. And he had come to my studio and I had told him, Jayant, I think you should be ashamed of what you've done. Because for all the good you will do in your political career, this moment will be the black spot on your career. And therefore, my point is to those who call themselves right-wingers. You cannot be right-wingers, say you're fighting for the right and be supporting lynchers and rapists at the same time. You cannot have this attitude that if you are pro-Hindu, then if someone who is a Hindu or from a Hindu organization commits the most ghastly crime, you will say it's all right because he claims membership of a Hindu organization. Why doesn't the Hindu Yuva Vahini sack and throw out Sushil Prajapati? Why can't they take a stand on issues such as this? Food for thought. Food for thought, ladies and gentlemen, not just for the people who are doing this, but for all of us. In fact, very often I believe the only way to
आर प्योर शाही पनीर मसाला, डिलीशियस, हेल्दी एवरीडे।
केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ रे, दिल झूमे देखो मतवारा हुआ रे। केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ।
हर पल मनाओ केसरी त्योहार। विमल, बोलो जुबान केसरी।
चमकी चाट से क्या बना है?
सैंडविच, लस्सी और छाछ और
हर घूंट में चमकी चाट। अब बताओ, स्वाद आया?
असली स्वाद सिर्फ चंकी चाट।
In fact, very often I believe the only way to get justice in India is a media trial. So there's no reason for the media, if it's doing a good job of a media trial, to be on the back foot. In fact, the courts should stop making these overarching remarks about media trial and contemplate about one very basic thing. With the greatest of respect to the courts, when the other institutions fail, when people get let down by the system, when even the judiciary does not seem to be listening or raising a noise about issues, like in the case of Twisha Sharma. Who does the public look to for justice, for raising their voice, for bringing something that's utterly false, illegal or wrong to public attention? It is only and only the media. And today, therefore, we are doing a media trial in this specific case, ladies and gentlemen, of Twisha Sharma, the 33-year-old daughter-in-law of an ex-judge, in a case where the ex-judge and the ex-judge's advocate's son appear to be more than involved. Ladies and gentlemen, 15 questions tonight. And if they think it's a media trial, so be it. So be it. Why did the ex-judge in the case of Twisha Sharma, neither she nor her son call a police or an ambulance? What took them 57 minutes to bring the body down? Where are the 3 men who are seen in the video dragging Twisha's body, destroying evidence? What was the police doing? Did they question the house staff? Did they question the judge? Was Twisha carrying headphones in her bag, in her hand, or a rope? Where is it now? Where is that so-called belt that cops claim was used by her to commit suicide? Why was it hidden? The mother-in-law, the ex-judge, walks up calmly while the body is being dragged down and evidence is being destroyed before the judge's eyes. Is that normal? Why don't the judges raise a hue and cry about it? Why don't the appellate courts take up this case suo motu? So people don't start believing that when an ex-judge is concerned, the victim will never get justice. Ladies and gentlemen, what was the ex-judge carrying in her hand when she went down? Where
Ladies and gentlemen, a very good afternoon to you. I have the privilege of addressing you on behalf of the Tourism Department, Government of Maharashtra, and the Maharashtra Tourism Development Corporation, the Director of Tourism. On behalf of the Honorable Tourism Minister, Mr. Shambhuraj Desai, the State Minister, Shri Indralin Naik, and the visionary leadership of our Principal Additional Chief Secretary, Shri Sanjay Kandare, Mr. Nilesh Gatne, the Managing Director of MTDC, and Mr. Mangesh Joshi, the Director of Tourism, Government of Maharashtra. I would like to welcome you on behalf of Maharashtra Tourism to this ImagiNext, the festival of India's Festival of Technology and Innovation. It is my honor to formally announce that the Government of Maharashtra's Tourism Department is the state partner for ImagiNext. The tourism policy of Maharashtra, which was set in 2024, is all set to attract an investment of more than 1 lakh crore rupees by the year 2030. We have already welcomed more than 37 lakhs foreign tourists in the last count which we did, and this was the biggest as far as the country is concerned. Not only that, we have a target of creating 18 lakhs new jobs, and we also have an estimated and 18.9 crore foreign domestic visitors who came to Maharashtra in the year 2024. I thank you all once again for coming here. Maharashtra is becoming the center where India's innovation, capital and ambition coverage. Tourism is one of the most visible expressions of that. On behalf of the Tourism Department, Government of Maharashtra, I welcome you all again to the ImagiNext 2026. Thank you, Jai Hind and Jai Maharashtra. Thank you very much.
There is no other Indian founder positioned to answer the question this fireside is built around: what does it actually mean to build technology that India owns? In conversation with the founder and chief scientist of Zoho Corporation, Sridhar Vembu. Please welcome them on stage.
Yesterday you put out a tweet saying that warning against AI becoming a crutch. Why are you against AI? What are you afraid of its potential impact on software developers, on young professionals? Do you think there needs to be some limit put onto AI, and are you working on anything in that sense?
No.
Mr. Vembu.
So I use AI pretty heavily. So for my own, a lot of it I'll say research, reviews. For example, I'll give it some piece of code and ask it to review. It's an excellent reviewer. It can surface ideas that you hadn't thought of. So in that sense, I'm actually a heavy user. I call myself, I pay for 2 of the AI subscriptions too. So, but the tweet was about high school students losing mathematics skills because they are not learning mathematics, they are learning to rely on AI, basically. And actually speaking, more broadly, we run a school in our village in K-12. We do not emphasize technology until kids get older. I think exposing kids to too much technology too young is detrimental. And it's not just me. Steve Jobs believed the same thing. Steve Jobs did not want his own kids using the iPad, all of that too young. And likewise with AI. They have to learn basic skills. You have to learn how to read and write and do calculations, arithmetic, all of that, without relying on the crutch of getting AI to write it for you, write a letter, all this. And this is not just old-fashioned thinking, because now a lot of research is coming that we lose skills, we even lose the judgment if you are not in it.
I spoke about information sovereignty. Let's not be dependent on the West for the narrative. We're speaking about sovereignty at a time when FDI inflows are negative. When suddenly there is a war, you feel the dollar is becoming stronger, and you are suddenly concerned about your overall, your forex reserves. And at the end of the day, my worry is, Mr. Vembu, that Silicon Valley has too much control over us. We are fooling ourselves by saying, oh, we are building our own way model. We don't need our sovereign models. We are a market. We are the best to apply their technology. Are we living in a fool's paradise?
I will speak from a historic point of view. When you ship cheap raw material, import the value-added finished product, that was the foundation of the East India Company. And we know how that turned out for us, right? When you give somebody else your cheap raw material and all of the value addition is happening elsewhere and we are importing it, that's the foundation of the colonial economics, and that's how the East India Company came to rule over this continent. So that's why it's important that it's not merely that we are consuming somebody else's creation. It is the value we are shipping, it is the dependency we create. And I have said this openly. The risk is for us, Google or Microsoft or Amazon and Facebook, all of these companies become the new East India Company. And we have to be aware of this risk. That's a very real risk. It is not something mythical I just invented. And given our own history, we must be aware of this. And don't be fooled by the fact that there is an Indian CEO at the top. That's irrelevant to the discussion. It is whose laws, whose sovereignty, whose jurisdiction. It all matters. So it's very important to keep this in mind.
We've seen Oracle, Meta, Amazon, Cisco all announcing these major layoffs in the face of AI. You've been arguing that all of this is being done to accommodate and service the cost of AI itself, the cost of the hardware, the cost of the servers.
Correct.
So your argument is that people are being laid off by companies to service their investments in AI rather than as a productivity miracle. But what we should, AI was meant about improving productivity. So let me ask you the question on productivity. What is Sridhar Vembu doing, as much as you can say, on this critical word
of productivity.
Yeah.
Because if we are going to grow towards being a Viksit Bharat, we have to find our own Bharatiya model of productivity.
Right.
So, what are you doing on?
Productivity is the key to prosperity. For a given amount of time, how much work we get done, how much we produce, all of that, that's the key to prosperity. It's also the key to having free time, all of that. If we can get machines to do some of the work, we get some free time. That's foundational. But then there's energy, all of that, energy use, all of those questions arise. I do believe we can be much more productive even in software development with very low energy intensity. That I believe with the conviction. So that's what is driving a lot of our R&D. We can actually make software development more productive without spending all these tokens, huge amount of energy spent on it, all of that. Now coming to the topic you asked about the layoffs, it's actually this is not just speculation on my part. We are seeing the exact cost pressures. We have a data center right here in Mumbai. Most of our Zoho traffic either served out of Mumbai or Chennai, and we ping pong between them. So the current server cost right now, if we buy the same identical specification, is about 3 to 4 times as expensive as 6 months ago. In order to serve a single Zoho user, thousands of users, we need to buy servers. Those servers, normal servers, nothing to do with AI, they have become 3 to 4 times expensive because of memory. Memory prices went up because of AI. So AI sucked all the memory, and ordinary servers became expensive. Now we are in this uncomfortable position. Should we have to raise the prices, or should we cut some other cost? So many of the companies that face the cost pressure, we are private, so we don't have to report to Wall Street or Dalal Street all the time, so we don't have to worry about this because we can take less profit. But companies that are public have to report profit, so they control the one item they control, which is payroll. So they lay off employees. This is actually the primary reason for a lot of layoffs. The cost of all this equipment, capital, all of that, the capital capex has become more expensive. AI itself has also become very expensive, as Microsoft recently admitted. These two are driving the layoffs in an attempt to cost control. Again, this cannot go on forever. You cannot lay off everyone and be a company, Like Facebook laid off, 10% or 15% of staff. How many more 10, 15% they can go? So that's why I think there is a point at which they'll have to stop. Even they will have to stop and reevaluate what we are doing with AI, all of that. Which is where our investment in intelligence without the energy expenditure, I'm going to call it, or energy efficient intelligence. It's very possible. We are doing R&D. By its nature, it's long-term, you cannot predict exact results.
Right.
Whenever you invest in R&D.
Yeah.
But I have been working on this for the last few years.
Yeah.
We're making very good progress. My team is making very good progress. That's about all I can say right now. Yeah. I never want to hype anything up. We hope to be successful at it. That's how I say.
No. Let's give him a round of applause, a stronger one than that. Thank you very much, Mr. Vembu, for being an absolute visionary and for being just so original with everything. Sridhar Vembu, thank you very much, sir. Thank you.
Three educators on stage who do not agree on the answer. Moderated by the founder of ImagineNext, Deepak Lamba. Let's welcome our guests on stage.
So today I want to separate the idea of reform from the reality of reform. Three people on stage, three very different bets on what the new school should be. I'll start with you, Shadrach. You've spent decades working on learning for people outside the formal system. Farmers, factory workers, informal sector. The conversation about AI and education is almost entirely about universities. So, what's the conversation we are not having?
I think it's a very interesting question. Now, of the billion people who are contributing to the economy, of which 800 million people are in the informal sector, who contribute almost 50% of Indian economy. And they are forgotten. What we are always talking about is the 43 million who come into the tertiary system. And the question about degree depreciating, AI taking over, the conversation between the old school, where the universities are situated, and the new school, the new forms of learning, is actually a fallacy when it comes to these 800 million people who are not in any system.
Right.
And if you look at the school system, we are talking about 280 million children in the schools, but 280 more million young people who are not in education, employment and training. So for me, the true school, not the old school, not the new school, the true school has to be something very inclusive that enables us to recognize a variety of things. What the new school does not do, AI-based schools, and not the old school which is too slow, whereas the new school is too shallow. Now when it comes to the true school, we need to really think about the need for them to learn, to be in the lifelong learning paradigm, and design systems that cater to them in a manner that they can seamlessly, without having to leave their workplaces, but continue to learn so that they continue to be relevant and contribute to the economy without being pushed out.
You know, what does education for jobs that exist in 2030, what will it look like, and who is it for? You know, you've been at Google Brain, you've been at Yahoo Labs, founded an edtech startup, you're now running an institute. You've spent about 2 decades seeing AI from inside the industry. What does a curriculum that actually prepares students for an AI-first economy look like, according to you?
So today our graduates' main goal is to become a professional test taker, right? We are preparing for NEET exam, JEE exam, board exam, all the exams. Nobody is studying for the sake of studying or learning. We are studying for the sake of exams, right? Because that is the metric we have given. So let me give you a new set of metrics. How many Nobel Prizes India has produced? 12. Last 100 years, 100 billion people have produced only 12 Nobel Prizes. Israel has produced 14 Nobel Prizes. What is the highest ranking Indian university in the world ranking is IIT Delhi this year. Rank is 123. The top Indian university is ranked 123. Singapore has produced 2 universities in top 15. Right? How many unicorns have we produced? We look at, digital unicorns. We have 4. And obviously US has more than 1,000, right? So the right metrics will define the right education system. There are 2 very important qualities of students we want to produce, right? One is, and this quality is coming from Buddha. For me, Buddha is a great innovator. And he did 2 things very important. One was, he figured out the right problem to solve, right? When he figured out that there is a sick man, dying man, he realized that there must be a core problem to be solved, and that's what great innovators do. Today, our students are not aware of the problems to be solved in the country. For them, the problem to be solved is an IIT rank or a JEE rank, not, the suicides of our farmers and, not access to our, and pollutions and all of that, right? And that is the kind of innovators we want to produce, and we are not producing them. And that's why we are getting, the numbers we are getting.
Pearson is already in 5,000 existing institutions, right? How do you change a system that already exists without blowing it up? Pearson has been in India 25 years, textbooks, curriculum, assessments. You're now positioning yourself as digital first. What's actually changed in the way students learn? What does Pearson know about learning outcomes today that you did not know 5 years ago?
From our perspective, things have changed dramatically. Technology is taking over in all of it, and especially some of it I'll just very briefly touch upon. AI, we had embedded this into our English language testing curriculum, testing quite some time back. We had put it in so there is no bias in evaluation of English language learning. But what's happening when you come to higher education, we are now not just giving a content, we are giving a AI-enabled content to them. So people can ask questions, it can summarize the text, can elaborate on a particular topic, you can do on-the-go assessments for yourselves, video-based learning, and those are the things that we have not created just by ourselves, but it is what the students or the institutions are asking.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
have on stage the founder and CEO of Gabit, Mr. Gaurav Gupta, and along with him, Dr. Nikhil Jakatdar, founder, Gene Path Diagnostics. This session will be moderated by the founder of ImagineX, Mr. Deepak Lamba. May we please have a round of applause for the gentleman. Thank you.
Gaurav, you've built Gabit to bring AI health to consumers, wearables, coaching, nutrition. The honest question, how much of what Gabit does is actually AI and how much of it is wellness with a tech layer on top? What can your platform actually prove it does for health outcomes?
Hi everyone, it's great to be here. Gabit is one word for good habits. Health is all about good habits, so that's why we coined it. So I think you can understand the genesis. We want to do stuff that you can do for life to improve your health. It's not about the faddish things that spike up today and go away tomorrow. It's about something that you can follow for life. I think when we talk about AI, we should actually talk about what is the purpose AI is serving for what we're trying to do. And I'll give you a few examples of what we've done and how we've used it. And I think it's served different purposes. It's not the same thing. So first of all, if you build a product, you have to make it easy to use. Otherwise, we will not use it. Like humans are lazy. We're all lazy. We want the least effort and the maximum outcome. So when you design a product, you actually think about how can you make it easy. Gabit integrates fitness, nutrition, sleep, stress, VO2 max, resting heart rate, a lot of metrics. And people started asking questions, what is VO2 max? What is resting heart rate? What does it even mean? What is a good resting heart rate? There is where we used AI to personalize or help people at scale. We built an AI health coach. The name of the coach is Pep. So you can talk to Pep. You can understand what these metrics mean. So that's another way of helping people understand this. And then I'll talk about it later a little bit more, but it goes beyond that. So today, one, of course, AI can talk to you so you understand it easily, but it also helps you understand history and find correlations. So now we've built Gabit into a platform where you can track 150 markers on one platform. So we have the smart ring, which some of you would know. And we also have blood tests on the platform. We have a smart scale. We have CGM. So you can track 150 markers. And now we use AI to help you assess across all these markers in one place. Because today, without Gabit, you would actually do this on 4 different platforms, even globally.
You came to genomics through personal loss, your mother's cancer. GenePath is trying to democratize diagnostics previously available only to wealthy patients. What does AI actually make possible in cancer detection today that was impossible 5 years ago?
Yeah, so both my parents were diagnosed with cancer. First my mother, then my father. My mother was diagnosed at stage 2. And breast cancer at stage 2 in the US has a 90% survival rate. So if you are caught at stage 2, there's a 90% chance 5 years later you're still alive. In India, that percentage is 69%. For many years, people thought, and this was true when my mom was diagnosed, she passed away. She should never have passed away. Because the one thing I learned, and I was not in that space 11 years back, what I learned is if 20 women have breast cancer, we treat it as one cancer. But 20 breast cancers are 20 different diseases. This woman's breast cancer is because of this mutation. That woman's breast cancer is because of a different mutation. But for so many years, they were all given the exact same chemotherapy. Right. And the ones who happened to have that match succeeded. The ones who didn't, they did not. And they said, yeah, it's cancer. But it's not cancer. It is, you have to understand what it takes to solve it. Those answers exist. But doctors have to find a way to keep up to speed. And it is not physically possible to read every paper that comes out. And so what I'm finding is what AI is helping with is put together all this data, make it accessible to doctors to be able to now get that much smarter. It should be a really good assistant to doctors who are motivated to keep up.
Thank you so much, and thank you so much. I really enjoyed this chat.
Thank you.
I wish you could continue.
To have you here with us, to all of us out here and the digital audiences who will be watching us. Now, before we get started, I think cumulatively on this stage, there's over 100 years of hindsight experience that comes about when it comes to the Indian IT space.
100 years each or 100 years cumulatively?
Cumulatively, I said cumulatively. I knew you'll catch me on that. So cumulatively over 100 years. And through the through the past few decades, there have been a lot of these buzzwords that have come about, right? We had the BBSs, the bulletin board systems that came in. Then you had the information superhighway. You had the Y2K, the dot-com boom, the IT boom, cloud, a few more that you have tried to forget, possibly. So is AI this decade's entry, or is it, in the Dilbert fashion, a truly epochal paradigm shift?
It is going to change the way we look at the world, organizations, our own careers. So there's no doubt it's a paradigm shift. How long it will take us, whether the reality will actually justify the hype that is today there, I think that's something we still have to wait and see. But clearly re-imagination, re-engineering, re-architecting, everything's on the cards with artificial intelligence.
Lovely. Mr. Chandrasekhar?
Yeah, I do think that it's qualitatively different from all the other revolutions which we talk about, whether it is the industrial revolution or the steam engine or electricity. Because of the fact that it comes very close to the characteristics which human beings prided themselves on. Intelligence, cognition, the ability to think, the ability to solve problems. So in that sense, it has really led us to a point of where we say, what is it that technology will do and what is it that we do, and is there anything that we can do which it can't do? And I think that's what makes it very different, and it's the pace at which it is growing. It's increasing. And as has often been said, when AI starts building AI, then it's going to be even more exponential. So I think we are confronted with very basic questions of what it means to be human. And we've seen that memory was slowly discounted when computers and memory chips and all that came. Now we are seeing even intelligence getting discounted. So if all this is commoditized, what do people do is a big question. So that's why it's fundamentally different, is my belief.
Excellent. Two overwhelming positive notes. Mr. Purushottam?
For sure, it's a paradigm shift. Maybe let me take three different dimensions. One, for sure, is convergence power. I don't think there is any other technology which is more convergent than this one, because whether we talk of biotech, whether we talk of energy, whether we talk of climate, whether we talk of manufacturing, AI has become a new horizontal and adding significant value to each of the tech which is already in play for years together. The second part of it is the economic value or impact it has created. Over the last 3-4 years, whatever we call it, chat GPT moment, if you look at today's investment in the market, say around $700 billion or $800 billion this year in US itself, and if you remove that element of growth in the US markets, you will be left with almost like stagnancy, which would mean like if there is no AI in terms of economics, there is possibly hardly any economics left, at least in the terms of market valuation. I'm not saying in terms of impact, but then in terms of purely in terms of the economic understanding of investments or returns, whichever way you count it. Third dimension is more around geopolitics and social. Now, I have been to Davos so many times in the last 4 years. This topic remains the highest topic. And certainly Davos is a geopolitical event. And there is no discussion which is happening without the mention of or impact of AI. Whether you are a part of Chinese ecosystem or whether you are a part of US ecosystem, or the elements of sovereignty and other things which goes around geopolitics, is certainly becoming the main element of what we call a paradigm shift. So there has been no such moment which has sustained, at least for so many number of years, which has created these dimensions across.
This is the panel that captures the essence of what the last 2 days have been. It's been an overwhelming reality check as to what the possibilities are and what the steps are to reach that goal. And please give a big round of applause to our panelists out here who have joined here this evening. It's been a pleasure to have Mr. Chandrasekhar, Dr. Narayan, and Mr. Purushottam join us here at ImagineX 2026. And we'll certainly look forward to rechecking this video in ImagineX 2030 to figure out how many of our thinking was on track, since everything's on video. On that note, you've been a wonderful audience. We wish you a lovely weekend. And once again, a big round of applause to all for you as well.
Before I sign off officially, we'd like to once again thank our main sponsors, Maharashtra Tourism, and officially call this a wrap on India 2030, on Stage 1, 1 and on ImagineX 2026.
चमकी चाट से क्या बना है?
सैंडविच लस्सी और छाछ और
हर घूंट में चमकी चाट। अब बताओ स्वाद आया?
असली स्वाद सिर्फ चंकी चाट।
I want to start with some very disturbing pictures that have come in of a so-called right-wing leader. His name is Sushil Prajapati. He's accused of rape. After being in jail for 9 months, he gets bail, which means he's still an accused. He's an accused in a rape case. And the case goes back to 2025 when he took an LLB student to one place on the pretext of introducing her to a senior advocate. He drugged her drink and then he sexually assaulted her. He is still under trial for rape. He has not been released. But when he comes out, this rape accused, garlands are put on him as if he's some kind of a hero, as if he's achieved something great. Is a rapist to be celebrated, ladies and gentlemen? I ask you that question. And more than anyone else, I ask the right wing of this country. Very often I come on television and I say, yes, on several issues, I'm happy to be called a right-winger. But ladies and gentlemen, let me put it clearly. You cannot let a person like this man, this Sushil Prajapati, a leader of the Hindu Yuva Vahini, a local thug, a man accused of rape, you cannot celebrate his act of rape or celebrate the fact that the rapist is out on bail. If that is the message we want to send to our society, and if all the BJP leaders want to be quiet about it, I want to ask them, why are they quiet about this? Why are they quiet? In the silence of the BJP leaders, is there a